The next 2 weeks will be huge for the precious metals prices. We got a 1-2 punch coming at us. This coming week, we're going to get the CPI numbers. What can we say about that? How will that affect the price of the precious metals? But then it gets even more severe in the following week when on the 19th and 20th, our old friend Jerome Powell and all of his little governors from around the country get together and make the major announcement regarding interest rates. We're going to talk about what the market is expecting, but what we might expect. But both of those news items, one next week, one the following week, are going to be market movers for the precious metals prices for sure. And why do we know that? Well, there's two reasons. Number one, we know they're big news, but number two, we can see something in the charts of both gold and silver that are telling us they are both primed for major moves. Will they move up or will they move down? We're going to talk about that in this video, but we got a lot more to talk about. How do you go from having a little stack, I said little stack, to a big stack? We're going to cover that in this video, but you want to make sure that your big stack is high quality. We're going to talk about that as well. We're going to talk about we need a new pricing mechanism in the silver market. We're going to touch on that. We're going to talk about the mining stocks. Unbelievable opportunities right now. Unbelievable prices in the metals stocks. Should you consider thinking about, I don't give financial advice, but maybe consider looking at some of the mining stocks. We're going to touch on why they represent such an unbelievable good deal right now. And of course, we're going to have some economic gloom and doom. We're going to talk some recent news that is shocking and, doesn't fit well with the narrative that Bidenomics is working, right? Okay? All right. We're going to cover all that. Let's get into it right now. First thing, this coming week, guys, we're going to get the CPI inflation report. That's going to send shockwaves through the precious metals markets. It always does. It's probably the most watched piece of data that we have right now in terms of affecting the overall markets, interest rates, and the precious metals. Never since I've been around watching these markets have we seen, maybe it's different for you, right? But do you remember a time when CPI numbers were watched so closely? And if this number comes out higher than expected next week, I got bad news for you. Look, I'm not just going to give you bubble gum and rainbows and unicorns and all that fun, happy stuff. We could be in big trouble with the precious metals price next week. And we're going to cover that, why that could be the case from this charting perspective. But if we get inflation numbers that the official numbers are higher than expected, that could lead the market to think that the Fed the following week could actually raise rates. Now, we know the inflation numbers are horrible anyway, and we know that they are so fabricated, so fake, right? There's a website called Shadow Stats that actually calculates the inflation number now in the same manner that it was calculated back in the 70s and 80s. And when you do that, it's ridiculous how high the inflation rate is. But nonetheless, the official number, which I believe comes out of the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. There's another way to describe that organization, that fine Washington, D.C. organization. You may have heard this. Some people on Wall Street call it the Bureau of Lies and Statistics. But when they announce that number on Wednesday, that's going to send shockwaves through the bond market, through the precious metals market. So we need to be mentally prepared for what's to come. Now, look, the big picture thesis, has it changed, right? Do you feel any differently now about your gold, your silver, your platinum than you did, let's say, a month ago or a year ago? I don't. I know the big picture thesis, and we're not going to go down that rabbit hole, but we know, right? We know that the financial system, the monetary system, is so screwed up right now that it doesn't really matter what little smoke and mirrors, little short-term tricks and massaging this data, massaging that data. We know that mathematically, and mathematics show no forgiveness on the altar of truth. Do you like that statement? I have to ask you that question. That's one of my favorite statements. I read it back in the early days. You probably are like me. You can remember when you first woke up, right? When you first started to realize, like, wow, things are really screwy out there. The Fed and the monetary system, things are like that initial waking up period. And I remember reading, somebody made that comment. It might have been just even in a Yahoo Finance forum or message board, whatever the heck they call those things. I'm dating myself. But somebody said, math shows no forgiveness on the altar of truth. 3 + 3 is always 6. And that's what the Fed's facing right now. They're facing the altar of truth. And the fact about what we have going on in the world with the BRICS and everything else, don't worry, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but it's forcing the truth upon the Fed, forcing the truth in a lot of ways upon the United States economy as a whole. And it's going to be an interesting 3, 6, 9 months ahead of us. Buckle in. Nonetheless, this week on Wednesday is the big day. We're going to get the inflation report, the official number. Be prepared, okay? Look, you can deal with it. I know you can. I mean, gosh, guys, that's one thing. Let's just take a quick inventory of ourselves. What we've been through as precious metals investors over the last 2 years, it has been, I don't know, you remember there was a video game when we were kids. I think it was called Knockout. Remember at the 7-Eleven? There was a 7-Eleven by my house, and man, those were the good old days. A quarter was really something. You know, when my mom gave me a quarter, I'd go to the 7-Eleven. They always had new video games. They rotated them through every month, and they had that one called Knockout, where you were a boxer, and it was like body blow, body blow, body blow. And that's what you've dealt with over the last couple of years. If you've invested in platinum, gold, silver, precious metal mining stocks in particular, if you bought precious metal mining stocks like I did, okay, my hands up. You got a kick to the coconuts. A couple kicks to the coconuts, right? Precious metal mining stocks have been beat down. So whatever they do Wednesday, short-term noise. In the end, you're going to be proven right. I believe that. Look, I'm not giving financial advice. You know, if I'd given you financial advice 1 year ago, I would have said the precious metal mining stocks were a great value, and they were. They absolutely were. But they sure as heck have become even a greater value now 1 year later. So, you know, make your own mind up. Don't come to me for relationship advice or financial advice, although I will tell you what I'm doing. I'm very transparent. I have been buying mining stocks lately. I actually increased my position in First Mining Gold during this last week. I believe they represent an unbelievable value opportunity. I've got some things written down. You know, they offer superior price appreciation. That's just my opinion. But when I'm buying a stock for 10 cents that has what I think maybe $1.50 of actual value, at least 20 cents, at least 30 cents, the upside potential far outweighs the downside risk. You know, we're going to get technical about something right now. We're going to learn something. I'm not coming at you like I'm some guru, but this is an important thing to understand. This relates to silver, gold. This also relates to the precious metal mining stocks. When you go into any investment, you want to analyze the risk. In the most ideal situation, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Spitz Truth. Boy, I forgot about begging for super chats. Super chats are super cool, and they're never expected, but they are always appreciated. So thank you. And by the way, thumbs up. I'm going to beg just one more time after this. You see that? It looks like that on your screen. Press that in. I'm going to ring the bell for you because you gave this a thumbs up. When you go into an investment, you want you want a fancy word? Get out a pen and paper. Who doesn't like, we have egos, like to say a fancy word. You want to look for asymmetric risk. You can sound like a big fancy Wall Street guy when you talk about that. Asymmetric risk means the downside risk is far outweighed by the upside potential. So let's say you're buying a stock for 10 cents and you look at it and you think, well, worst case scenario, it could go to a nickel, right? But realistically, Best case scenario, it could go to 50 cents. So on the upside, you have the opportunity to gain 4 times your money. On the downside, you can lose the 5 cents. The risk of gain is much bigger. The opportunity for gain is much bigger than the downside risk. Wow, thank you, Ron McAdams. And that's the way that I think we can benefit. Do you agree with this statement that silver and gold themselves offer what I think is a great asymmetric risk? Look, when I look at silver, I'm just going to zoom in. Let's zoom in on silver. When I look at this sucker, this is my 10-ounce bar, right? 0.999. I love it. When I look at this, okay, let's say it's worth $250, right? I think the worst case scenario that I could see with silver, okay, roughly we're going to say we're at $25 an ounce. The worst case, let's say it goes to 20 or 18, all right? So it could go down. But the best case is it could go, you know what I think, it could go to $100 an ounce. It could go to $200 an ounce. It could go to $50 an ounce. But the bottom line is, I'm losing my voice. I guess I need to stop yelling so much. The bottom line is that, let me turn up the volume here. Can you guys hear me okay? The bottom line is the upside potential far outweighs any downside risk. And that's something that you can be excited about. Go look at your silver stack right now. Okay, just take a look at it, right? I can look over some pieces of silver I have right now. Thank you. Whoa, man, spits and truth. Thank you for that super chat. I'm feeling spoiled. Sorry about the coughing. Look at your stack of metal and realize, okay, maybe you feel differently than I do, but here's a beautiful 1 ounce silver round. Isn't that cool? That's from Scottsdale Met. Okay, there you go. I got to be honest, it's one of my favorites. Yeah, it can go down in value, okay, but I just know in my bones, and I have a feeling you do too, that it could also go way up, way further than it could ever go down. Gold, same thing. Platinum, I know Neil, the platinum guru, feels the same way. Hello, Annie Oakley. Annie Oakley. Something about that name I love. Thank you. Coin Shop Chris. Jake's Custom Parts. And I think Neil is here. All you guys, all the monitors. And if I missed any monitors, why do I keep calling CPI? The following week, you want to impress your coworkers, and 19th and 20th is the Federal Reserve's monetary policy. Look, right now, here's a little bit of information for you. The market, because they have ways you can bet on this, are saying there's only a 7% chance that we're going to have a rate increase. Okay, so in some ways, we're set up for a little bit of failure, because if we do get higher inflation next week and the odds of a rate increase go up, that could be bad for the silver price and the gold price. Thank you, Sharon. Man, you guys are spoiling me tonight. Thank you for the super chat. But on the 19th and 20th, we're going to have Jerome Powell, and I missed a super chat. Hold on, I missed one. Coin Shop Chris is yelling at me. He's like, I'm going to throw a ding-dong at him. Snakebite. Thank you, Snakebite. Ron McAdams. Kenneth, I think you're the one I missed. Thank you, Kenneth, for the super chat. Thank you, all you guys, for all your support of the channel, right? We are basement dwellers. Welcome to the club. You're welcome here. You got a new set of friends. We're hanging out every single day, okay? That's my pledge. That's the basement pledge. I'll be here every day for the rest of my life. You're going to have a lot of fun watching me deteriorate further than I already have, but I'll be here come heck or high water, even if I'm stacking crude oil in the basement and I'm just sticking my head above the oil level talking to you. We're going to be together, okay? Now, I lost my train of thought. Oh, big news on the 19th and 20th, out of the Fed, out of our friend Jerome Powell, who is, you guessed it, in a box. Hi, guys. I'm in a box. You know why? Recession, inflation. Think about this. Think about this. Think about this. Oil is skyrocketing. Look, we have a new little thing we're doing here in the basement. Don't forget, if the world economy were a human body, the left foot is silver and the right foot is gold. It is the base upon which the whole body stands. The blood going through that body, all right, that's oil. Okay, oil is skyrocketing. Inflation is going to be a problem. Thank you for the super chat, Michael K. Okay, inflation is going to be a problem. Remember that. Now, remember this. What's going on in the economy? Let me read. I've got some crazy. I can't believe it makes me mad. Does it make you mad that they're saying, "Oh, Bidenomics. Oh, the economy's growing. The economy's doing great." Well, then tell me, right? Riddle me this. Riddle me this. Here's a headline for you. If the economy's so great, I ask you this question. Why are rail volumes falling for the third straight month in August? Why are rail... Okay, here. I'm not going to read this whole article, but this is critical, and we need to ask ourselves, what is this telling us when it says that August was the third straight month in which total year-over-year United States rail carloads, that means those cars you see being pulled down the track by the trains, have fallen. The Association of American Railroad Senior Vice President John T. Gray reported on September 6th. Total combined U.S. traffic for the first 35 weeks of 2023 was 16 million carloads and intramodal units, a decrease of 4.9% compared to the last year. Guys, think about it. Let's. What is it telling us when the railroads are experiencing 5% less volume? Railroads ship products all over the country, but they're also very much involved with the manufacturing sector, probably more so than the trucking the truckers are involved with manufacturing, but they ship a lot of stuff to retail, things like that. When we're getting real data, okay, that's real live data from the American Railroad Association telling us that their volume is down by 5%. How can we reconcile that with a supposed growing economy? Now, next question for you to think about. We know that volume in the trucking industry is down by almost 10%. How in the heck can you have railroad volume dropping 5% and trucking volume dropping 10%, and you're going to tell me that we have an expanding economy? I got to ring the bell. 10. Thank you, guys. We got 100 thumbs up. Thank you. We got 200 people on a Saturday afternoon. So let's go back and pull this together. We have inflation that's going up, and we have an economy that's going down. Don't worry, I'm not going to get into the stagflation talk, okay? But we got to remember that is stagflation. That is Jerome in that box, okay? The poor guy is in big trouble because he's going to run over and try to deal with the inflation, which is what he's doing right now. Tight monetary policy. That causes the economy to slow down, which we've got right now, way slower than they're telling us officially. So he's going to run over there and he's going to have to loosen. But when he loosens, that makes inflation worse. It's a horrible doom spiral. But what makes it even more, this I think speaks volumes. All right. And I want your thoughts on this, your opinion as well. We're in such a great, strong economy. Read this headline. This is, you know who the biggest retailer in our country is? Walmart, right? I don't know. Do you like Walmart? I'm kind of mediocre on Walmart. You know, we got one kind of close to our house. Yeah, well, anyway, you know, I don't go there that often, but a lot of people do. They're the biggest retailer in the world, quite possibly. Definitely here in the United States. Well, headline, Walmart, pay cut for new hires indicates economic downturn has arrived. The latest jobs report has revealed that the U.S. labor market, while still adding jobs, shows signs of cooling. Walmart, the nation's largest private employer, has noticed the slowdown and is cutting pay for their new store hires. Walmart, if you go get a job at Walmart right now, Look, personally, I wouldn't recommend it. I'd try to get a job somewhere else, but nothing wrong with working. Working is great, working at Walmart. But if you go right now to get a job at Walmart, they're going to pay you less than they would have paid you per hour 1 year ago. Let that sink in. What does that tell us? That tells us Walmart isn't having such a hard time finding employees. Things are changing. All this smoke and mirror mirage. Oh, the employment's great. No, blah, blah. Let me remind you of something. The one pillar that's been holding up the economy, the BS, whatever, but it is what it is. The one pillar they've been standing on, the last one, has been strong employment. This is real data. This is real information. Walmart is cutting pay for their new hires. They wouldn't be doing that if they were having a hard time finding new hires. I'm going to take a quick break and take a little sip of water. I'll be right back. I'm not going anywhere. Don't you go anywhere. Walmart, right? Nation's biggest retailer, cutting salaries, basically. Guys, it's coming, and it's coming at us, and it's going to happen soon. The new payment structure means new hires who join the digital or stocking departments will make about $1 an hour less than they would have if they were hired a year earlier. And don't you just love big companies? Let me tell you something. Let me tell you a fact about big companies. They're always looking out for the bottom line. They're always looking out for, basically, this is just my opinion. They don't really care about their employees, right? They care about profits. They care about bonuses for the executives. And they put through these bad deals, right? And maybe there's a few exceptions out there, but overall, I've been around long enough. I worked in the corporate world briefly when I was younger. It's all a bunch of BS, okay? And they put the screws to people on a regular basis. I got a funny story for you. I'm going to tell you about that when I'm done here. But they put the screws to people, and then they try to spin it with, I thought I rang the bell. Chris keeps telling me to ring the bell. Bell. I'll ring it for Chris. I tell you what, I'm like a trained dog. Whatever coin shop Chris tells me to do, I do. I'm probably going to start eating a bunch of ding-dongs on a daily basis. Anyway, they put the screws to people, and then they put out this press release to try to make it out like they're doing something good. This is what Walmart said. Put up your BS meter, okay? Raise your finger if you think this is BS. Walmart said, this will allow for better staffing throughout the store, said one of the documents. Walmart has already raised hourly pay for 50,000 workers because their pay was below the new minimum. On Thursday, Walmart spokeswoman confirmed that there's lady stackers and there's lady spokespeople at Walmart confirmed the pay structure change, adding, it will allow new workers to learn and improve on skills to climb the company ladder. There's my BS meter. No, Walmart, what you're doing is paying people less because you can get away with it right now. That's the truth, right? And the only reason you raised wages a year ago is because you couldn't find people. But now, Walmart, that you can find all the people you need, you're going to cut people's salary, and that's the truth. It has nothing to do with anything else. You want to make more profit. It's a numbers game. You don't really care about your employees. Oh, but I'm sure you've got some nice fancy pamphlets saying all these great things you want to do for your employees, and you got them smiling, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I digress. I'll tell you a story. You want to hear a story? The one more quick story. This is a true story, I swear, on anyone's life, about how the corporate world will stick it to you. When I was young, when I was 25 years old, I worked for about a year for a company called Robert Half International, the world's oldest and largest specialized staffing firm. Okay. I started a little division for them in St. Louis in the tech field called RHI Consulting. And I lit the world on fire. I mean, I was the #1 producer in the country, in the world, whatever. I made so much profit for them in the matter of a year, your head would spin. This was like 1995 or something like that. I was dealing with Novell network engineers, and that was when Microsoft was first. Anyway, NT administrators. This is a true story. I mean, I made like, I think it was almost like in 1 year, I made like $700,000 profit for the company. And I had a deal. I was a young man, and my commission structure was I got 10% of the profit. So I made like $80K. And when you're 24 years old, and this was 1994, that was a lot of money, right? And they sent me to San Francisco, and I got to stay at the Ritz-Carlton. I brought my buddy Little Ricky with me because I was going through some relationship problems with the ladies at the time. And we had a good time. We tore the Ritz-Carlton apart, and they had a big party and, you know, fancy thing at the Ritz-Carlton and blah, 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 blah. I get back to the office, and like a week later, this guy comes in from Texas. He's my boss's boss, and he calls me into a conference room. Okay. Now remember, I'd made $700,000 in profit for this company, and they only paid me 70. Okay. Sure, I had some benefits, whatever, but they made a lot of profit. I was lighting it on fire, right? I'd like to think it was because of my boyish good looks and charming personality and superior technical skills, but really it was just a really great time to be in that business. And I was working hard and everything else. Anyway, they pull me into a conference room. My boss and my boss's boss from Texas, this guy named Bob, who I didn't really like. Anyway, they sit me down. They say, "You're doing a great job, Ron, blah, blah, blah. We're going to give you some stock options. So, you know, if the company's stock goes to, 16 million, you're going to get, you'll have these options where you can make some money." And I'm thinking, uh-oh, I bet they're going to stick the screws to me. Then he goes on to say, "But we got to cut your commission. We're paying, you're making too much money. We got to cut your commission. We're going to cut it from 10% down to 5%. And I was like, "What? Are you serious? I'm an accountant. You're already making like $600,000 profit off me." I said, "You got to be kidding me." He said, "Nope, nope." And then this is what this guy says to me. This is how dumb he thought I was. He looks at me, he says, "Ron," when he was older, he was probably my age, which was older to me at that point. He said, "When I used to work for IBM," he was from Texas, and I love people from Texas. He said, "When I used to work for IBM, they would cut my commission percentage all the time." He said, "And I looked at it as a good thing because that meant I could work harder and figure out new ways to bring in more business to make the same money." And I looked at this guy. This is a true story. I looked at him, okay, because I was mad because I knew how much money I was making that company. I looked at him and I said, "Bob," I said, "You know what? Either you think I'm really stupid or you are really stupid," and I quit. And I got up and walked out. And then they begged me to stay, which I did for like another month. But I was like, "You know what? This is stupid. A company treats their people that way. Sorry, you probably didn't want to hear a story from my life." But, big companies, okay, so there's some exceptions, no doubt about it. But at the end of the day, they're beholden to the top management and they're beholden to the shareholders that want nothing more than big money, big profit to come in. I'm sorry. You know what? I made this into a personal thing. That still makes my blood boil. Like he thought I was dumb. No comment on that, okay? Let's get back to this. We're talking about silver and gold, not how to negotiate pay raises. So, yeah, Walmart now, they're going to offer their employees all these new opportunities because they're cutting everyone's pay. How do you get a big stack? Let's talk about silver. Let's just talk about silver. I get this question all the time. "Ron, what's the best way?" I can't answer many things definitively in this business, but I can answer how to get a big stack definitively. You dollar cost average, period. Buy a certain amount every month. Over time, whatever you have now will get bigger and bigger and bigger. Buy every 3 months. Buy every week. Whatever works for you. It will get bigger and bigger and bigger. Make sure, Coin Shop Chris and I talked about this earlier. Oh, what a great time to mention our sponsor, Pimbex. Where is it? There it is. Pimbex. Pimbex. Okay? I like to say the name of the company, but what I like even more is their variety of silver, gold, and platinum, and their prices and their service. They're top notch, guys. They're a family-owned company. Okay, they're growing, and there's a reason why they're growing, because they offer the same thing that you can get at the other big places for a lower premium. So check them out. If you're looking to buy some silver, gold, if you're looking to do some dollar cost averaging, that was not a setup. CoinShop Chris reminded me to mention, and they sponsored the show, okay? And I can tell you that I've received a lot of feedback in the comment section and individual emails that people are happy with Pimbex, okay? There's a reason why they're growing at the rate that they're growing, and that's because they're doing things right. I think Pimbex is best, and you will too, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart, okay? You know, I don't do sponsorships with companies that I don't believe in 100% and that I've done business with personally. Do we need a new pricing mechanism in the silver market? Did you guys hear this? Here's some breaking news from the COMEX. You want to talk about the COMEX? You know, the electronic exchange that sets the price of silver? I've called COMEX the Walmart of the silver business, right? Because the COMEX loves to roll back prices. Remember that was Walmart's big thing, price rollbacks? Well, that's the big thing at the COMEX too. They love to roll back prices. But hold on, we got a piece of information for you regarding the COMEX, because we do need to get a new pricing mechanism for silver. Keith Neumeyer talks about it. Right? The Chinese have talked about it. We need a new way for the price of silver to be determined. There's no other way around it. No ifs, ands, or buts. Okay? Here, this is from the Silver Degen Club, one of the guys that tracks the inventories at the COMEX. It says COMEX Silver Vaults, draining eligible to a new post-squeeze record low. Okay, remember, there's eligible inventory at the COMEX and registered. The registered is the silver that's basically available to be delivered on the contracts. The eligible has some other type of claim on it. It's not eligible to be delivered. It's usually held by maybe ETFs or individual investors who don't want to make it available to be delivered on those contracts that are written at like 30 or 400 times for each ounce. So the eligible is like, it's like, and I've used this analogy, it's like the inventory that's in the Walmart warehouse, right? It's there, it's owned, but it's not in the store and available for sale, basically. That inventory, the eligible, is apparently now at a post-squeeze. And when we say post-squeeze, we mean the silver squeeze that happened, what, in February of 2021? So for the last 2.5 years, the eligible... Now, why is that good potentially for the silver price? Because, guys, the amount of silver owned in the electronic ETFs has been decreasing, okay? That's bad, right? I mean, you know, I don't like the silver ETFs, the SLV, BlackRock owns, right? I do. If I were to do one or the other, I like the PSLV, the Sprott Physical Silver Trust. But the fact that the silver in the eligible category is decreasing, what that means is that when it goes back the other way, that's going to put huge buying pressure on the silver market. At least that's the way I see it, right? When we get that run for silver again, and I don't give any financial advice, but I don't advise buying the SLV silver ETF. Okay, I like to buy physical silver. I think you do too. But when people do run to that, that's going to create big buying pressure in the silver markets. Think about that. Let that sink in for a second. Think about this, right? And again, you know, I still go back to this talk that I heard by Keith Neumeyer talking about we need a new pricing mechanism in the silver market. But guess what? We're going to get it, okay? Okay, because I've heard the super smart guys talking about the fact that what's going on in the East right now, what's going on in Moscow, what's going on in Shanghai, what's going on in Mumbai, what's going on in a number of other Eastern cities is we're getting new markets being developed for the precious metals. And why? Well, because they've explicitly said that the price as determined by the COMEX and by the LBMA, the London Bullion Market Association, is a bunch of bunk. Unicorn fart dust. Okay? I know. We haven't talked about that for a while, my friends, my basement dwellers, but that's the reality. Those prices aren't real. They are make-believe. So the Eastern countries are making solid moves, right? The Shanghai Cooperation Organization, look into that. Look what they're doing. And we will get a new pricing mechanism. It'll be forced upon the Western, the COMEX and the LBMA. Because you know what's going to happen? Those markets are going to expand. People are going to trust them. And there's going to be a big difference in price between the East for silver, gold, and platinum and the COMEX and the LBMA. So people will, it's called arbitrage. People will start buying out of the Western vaults, out of the registered category, and there's not a lot there to buy, and selling in the Eastern markets to make that spread, to make that profit. It's coming. Okay, even the Chinese, there was an open letter that I read. SD Bullion had it in one of their videos like 8 weeks ago, where there was an open letter written to one of the big newspapers in Shanghai or in China somewhere. I think it was Shanghai. Anyway, this article basically said that we need, they were saying we need $100 silver. Keith Neumeyer says we need $100 silver. Silver is not, right now at this price, it's so artificial, it's so phony. They're only perpetuating the explosion that's going to happen in the silver market because, and we've talked, you remember, we've talked about this ad nauseum, right? The mining companies, they have no incentive to open new silver mines, to discover and explore for silver. There's nothing there. Why would they do it? It's only making the supply system more constrained. Not to mention, like we talked about this morning, a lot of the smelters right now, its energy prices are exploding. And I guess in Europe, that's where a lot, especially for like the base metals, nickel and platinum and the other more industrial type metals, they're shutting down because they're dealing with natural gas prices that are the equivalent of $600 a barrel of crude oil. Natural gas prices are crazy, crazy high right now. We got more to talk about. We got more. We got big money still buying silver, still buying gold. CoinShop Chris and I, when you're done watching this, put out a video this afternoon. He's talking about a guy that came in, he sent his wife in and bought $150,000, mostly of silver. I'm hearing it from other sources as well. Big money is still buying the metals. We know what the Chinese are doing. The Chinese now, it's estimated that they have 5,000 metric tons of gold under their control. Remember, they're the second biggest economy in the world, and they are buying gold hand over fist. All right. Buddy Rumble, the Louisiana gold guru, is telling you and telling me that we're going to have $32 silver by Christmas. We're going to have him here for a big Christmas party if that comes true, right? We're going to read between the lines. You're a deep thinker. I'm a deep thinker. We know, and we're not going to go completely down the BRICS rabbit hole. Don't worry. But we know the BRICS situation, which is unfolding. We got some news. The big G20 summit is going on right now in India, okay? Big deal, right? All the Western countries get together, and India kind of plays both sides of the fence, okay? Guess who didn't show up? Guess who said, thanks, but no thanks. I'm not coming to the G20 summit. Well, Putin didn't go because he's evil. They're going to arrest him. President Xi of China said, thanks, but no thanks. I'm not going to the summit. Now, consider this. Look at the footage of when Joe Biden, our president, arrived in India at the airport. It's pretty interesting that nobody showed up to greet him. Okay, it was kind of like when he showed up in Saudi Arabia like 4 months ago. Nobody showed up to greet Joe in Saudi Arabia. When President Xi showed up in Saudi Arabia, they had like the horse cavalry, they had the military, they had fighter jets flying over, putting out smoke with the Chinese flag colors. Guys, read between the lines how much the world is changing right now. Okay, President Xi of China did not go to India. And here, let me read this quickly, because this gives us another hint of what's going on in the world regarding this summit. We're going to talk about the details of silver and gold, but I know you're smart, and I know you want to know what's going on in the world as well. And here we go. Headline from CNBC. The G20 nations soften their Russia condemnation to reach Delhi summit, so it's in Delhi, compromise. And Ukraine's mad, okay? So basically, guys, what we had happen was Xi doesn't go, Putin doesn't go to the G20, and now there's been, let's say, compromise on the side of the West that they wouldn't condemn as severely as last year what's going on in the Ukraine. Things are getting super interesting. Ukraine criticized the compromise in the G20 joint communique. So they all have to kind of agree on what they were going to say, and they didn't necessarily say that they were unhappy this year as they were last year with what's going on in the Ukraine. This is not a political show. I'm not getting into that whole subject, but let's circle back now, because we started this live stream talking about the major news that we're going to get this week on the CPI, and then the following week, the 1-2 punch, right? Body blow. The Fed announcement on the September 19th and 20th. Why could we expect massive moves? It could go down, right? We could have a waterfall, bad situation, okay? But it could go up, and we're going to get to that next. But right now, please press the thumbs up. Come on, man, we got 199. When we get to 200, I ring the cowbell. So can we get the 200 thumbs up? Come on, basement dwellers. Can we do it? I'll do an extra long ring. We got it. I really love this bell. Thank you guys for the thumbs up. Now we got 217. That is awesome. You guys are blowing me away. Why? You might be asking, why, Ron, do you say that we could have this huge move in silver or gold? It could go down. But guess what? It could be uppity. It could, right? And let me show you why. I'm going to pull out one of my drawings that I used last week. I have to say, this belongs to Jake from Jake's Custom Parts, but nonetheless, it will demonstrate to you in no uncertain terms exactly why we could have a huge move. Actually, I got two charts we need to review. Here we go. See that? We got a wedgie for silver. Remember wedgies, right? We got a wedge for silver. If you look at this chart, starts in March of 2020, and goes through today. So 6 months. It actually goes back further. But the price of silver has been consolidating down within that wedge. At some point, it's going to break out of that wedge one way or the other. The same thing is going on with gold, okay? Also, guys, don't forget, we've got this. This is the most powerful chart pattern in the history of the world, the cup and handle. This is gold. Silver again, starting in 1980. There's the cup, right? About $50, but the price made what looks like a cup. And then from 2011 till now, we got the handle. And when it breaks, guys, it is the most powerful situation. The news this week could be, it could be what breaks it. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to be here for you, okay? I appreciate you guys joining me on a Saturday night. I'll be back tomorrow. You'll see me tomorrow. Thank you so much. Thank you to the moderators, okay? Jake's Custom Parts, Coin Shop, Chris, Neil. We got a great community here, guys. Is something on your mind you want me to talk about? I have an opinion on everything, even if that opinion is I don't know. But please, guys, let me know in the comments. Type 3 questions, okay? And I will be glad to address anything. The floor is yours. I'm going to warn you, if you don't come up with something quick, well then, you know what? I'll either randomly talk or say goodbye. All right, I'm going to wait. It takes a minute for these things to go on. Good evening, Matt. Don Jack, Sassy Silver, Ingemar Sand, Tim Schumacher. Yeah, someday Jake might get rich off his silver and his drawings that he has. Ding dongs. Yeah, here we go, guys. That's the favored snack, and I'm hungry right now, so I'm tempted to eat this, but I could never eat Coin Shop Chris's ding dong. You guys know Coin Shop Chris loves ding dongs. He eats he eats at least 5 per day. All right. Ask your question. All right, guys. November 1st, what do you think? 55-1. If you're talking about the silver to gold ratio, I think that'll be a bit of a stretch, but we'll see. Okay, the Wealth of Nations asks, when will silver return to an all-time high? I think it could happen sooner as opposed to later. Okay, I think it's a reasonable possibility that 1 year from now we could be back having hit a new all-time high. We'll see who will be the ask Annie. You know what, Annie? I have an interview coming out tomorrow at noon with Dan Wilton, the CEO of First Mining Gold. And we start out the interview talking about the overall silver and gold market, also the market for precious metal mining stocks, which is, I'm telling you guys, unbelievably beat down. Like it has taken a pummeling upon a pummeling upon a pummeling to the point where the price and the value in the precious metal mining stocks is unbelievable. Is it really a green screen? Absolutely, guys. None of this is real. I've tried to explain that to you. I'm just being completely honest. That's not even a real bell. This is all computer generated. See? It's a green screen. I wish. Anyway, no, not a green screen. It's real. But I do joke around because people keep asking me if I have a green screen. I'll tell you a quick funny story. Ron, give us a silver fact. Silver is the most reflective metal on the face of the earth. But you already knew that, Richard. Well, you know everything about silver. Silver, the interesting thing about silver, too, is it's very thermally conductive. That means it transfers temperature from the environment that it's in to whatever it might be touching. It adjusts itself quickly to the predominant temperature. So if you take a silver bar like this outside on a hot day and put an ice cube on it, it'll melt lickety-split. It's a pretty fun thing to do with kids. That's about the best I can do right now. Okay? That's my silver fact. All right, guys. Thank you for being here. Okay? Like I said, I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for everything, and I'll see you soon.